In this video, I'll show you how to fully set up the Eden Switch Emulator on PC, including firmware installation, controller setup, graphics settings, and the best tweaks for performance and stability. These same steps will also help you set up Eden on the MSI Claw A1M. Hey everyone, welcome back to Pickle Flick. Right, so let's get started. The first thing you're going to need to do is to download Eden from the official website. Make sure you download the MSVC version. You'll also need to download 7-zip so we can extract the emulator files. I'm going to leave the download links for both Eden and 7-zip in the description below. Next, we're going to need to create a folder for our games. Right click on your desktop, go to New, and then click on Folder. And now name the folder Switch Games. This is where all of your Switch games will go. Now, open up the Switch Games folder, right click inside of it, go to New, click on New Folder again, and this time call this one Updates. This is where any game update files or DLC files will go. For games to work correctly in Eden, they need to be either in NSP or XCI format. You're also going to need to download the Switch firmware and prod.key files. The important thing is that the firmware version and the prod.key version match each other. For legal reasons, I can't provide links to game files, firmware or prod.key files in this video, but for compatibility I would recommend getting firmware version 20.5.0. Some game files may already be extracted, while others may come as compressed archives. If they do need extracting, extract them directly into your Switch Games folder. Once everything has been downloaded, right click on the Eden archive, go to Show More Options, hover over 7-zip and then select Extract to Eden. After extraction, you can rename the folder to whatever you like. So I'm going to rename mine to Eden Emulator and move it to my desktop just to make the following steps a bit easier. You can also delete the original archive if you no longer need it. The firmware file does not need to be extracted, as Eden can install it directly from the zip file. Now open the Eden Emulator folder and launch the emulator. A pop-up window will appear when you first run Eden asking you to install the decryption keys. Click on Yes and then browse to where your prod.key file is, select it and then click on Open. A little box will now appear letting you know that the prod keys have been installed successfully. Now we can install the firmware. Click on the Tools menu, then select Install Firmware and choose from Zip. Locate your firmware file, select it and click Open. Once installed, check the bottom right of the emulator window to confirm that the firmware version is installed correctly. In this case, it should display version 20.5.0. Now we can add our games. Double click on the large folder icon in the middle of the emulator window and browse to your Switch Games folder. The games themselves may not appear at this stage, which is completely normal. Simply click Select Folder. Your game should now appear inside Eden. If you want to install game updates or DLC, click on the File menu and select Install Files to land. Browse to the Updates folder we created earlier. Select your update or DLC files and click Open. A confirmation window will now appear showing all the files you're about to install. Make sure the ones you want to install are ticked and then click Install. Once installed, you should see the updates listed in the add-ons column. Go to the emulation menu and click Configure. Under the Graphics tab, make sure the API is set to Vulkan. Under Device, make sure your graphic card is selected here and not your CPU. If you are using an MSI Claw A1M, this section might look slightly different. The API should still be set to Vulkan, but under Device it should say Intel Arcs Graphics. For resolution, I normally recommend leaving it at 1080p, especially if you're using a mid-range PC. If you do experience lag or stuttering, lowering the resolution should be the first thing you try. The resolution option on the left is for handheld, while the option on the right is for docked mode. By default, Eden's going to run the games in docked mode anyway. Make sure VSync is enabled to prevent screen tearing. And if you want Eden to always launch in full screen mode, set the full screen option to exclusive full screen. Next, go to the Advanced tab. We won't be changing anything here, but it may be worth checking that your settings match mine. Now go to the Extras tab. Since we're using Vulkan, enable synchronous presentation for slightly better performance. Also enable synchronous shader compilation. This helps reduce stuttering during gameplay, especially the first time you launch a game. Keep in mind that shader compilation stutter during first launch is completely normal and should improve over time as the shaders are cached. If Vulkan is causing you graphical glitches or crashes, then try switching the API to OpenGL instead. Now let's configure the controller. Go to the Controllers tab. In the top left, make sure the controller type is set to Pro Controller. Then click the Input Device drop down menu and select your controller. Many different controllers will work with Eden, but in my case I'm using an Xbox controller, so that's what I'll be choosing. If you are using the MSI Claw A1M, the controller setup is very similar. Once selected, Eden should automatically configure the controls for you. If you want to set up a second controller, select Player 2 and repeat the same process. You can also create a controller profile if you want, although the emulator will normally remember your controller settings automatically. If you'd like to view or change keyboard shortcuts, go to the Generals tab and select Hotkeys. From here you can customize any shortcut key you want. If you do choose to change any hotkeys here, just ensure you click OK so the settings take effect. Now, if you want to apply custom settings for a specific game, simply right click the game and select Configure Game. Any settings changed here will only apply to that individual game. And speaking of which, let's launch a game. If you want to enter full screen mode at any time, simply press F11. And that's pretty much everything you need to get Eden fully set up on PC and your MSI Claw or other handheld device. If you do run into any issues, please leave a comment with your PC specs or the device you're trying to use and I'll do my best to help. If this guide helps you out, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more emulation tutorials. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.